Hey guys, what's up? Game Pizza Boy here, host of the Pizza Party. Welcome back to the channel. I hope we're all doing fantastic today. And I'm back for another quick Dead by Daylight video. I know I've been put off from it and did like my recent LS Trials video, which I highly recommend you go check out. And I am planning to do more content in the future for some other stuff right now. But I kind of want to make this video real quick to discuss some of the recent stuff that's happening and where it's kind of leaned to and kind of get my personal thoughts and where I feel I need to decide if whether I'm going to still be playing DBD or not. I don't feel like I'm quitting DBD anytime soon, but I have been putting myself on hold once again with everything that's going on. So I just want to kind of discuss it all, kind of just give the information and just kind of give my thoughts on it, and then give you guys my lowdown on what it's going to lead down from me for the future of my channel very much, since I've been in and out of DBD quite a lot lately because of these many issues. But this is one of the bigger ones that I feel is very impeding of my feeling of continuing playing this game a lot. And I've been very concerned about where this is going to go and how this is going to play out. So that's what I want to do. I want to discuss this, go through all the little information. I won't go through everything exactly, but I will go through some tidbits about where I feel concerned of, which includes mostly what's been going on with the recent Walking Dead update that happened before, the live stream incident, if you heard about it, where DBD's been responding to, and then how they respond later afterwards, and then just kind of give each bit of my thoughts, and then where I feel will lead me down for the future DBD, and where I encourage everyone to kind of follow suit the same way. So that's what I want to kind of do in this video and discuss this. But before we begin this video, as always, if you found this video very helpful and enjoy the content, hit the like button to show your support, comment down below and tell me your thoughts about what's currently going on DBD. I would love to get a little discussion with you guys. And don't forget to subscribe as well. You can also check me out live here on YouTube, of course, whenever I go live on the weekdays. But you can also check me on Twitch and Kick as well. Come join my Discord server and check out all my other different social media platforms to support me on many of my other stuff, all in the multi-link down below. So definitely go take a look at that. And thank you again, as always, guys, for the amazing support. Since, once again, I want to mention real quick that I just recently hit over 100 subscribers, which is honestly amazing, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. So thank you so much for your amazing support, as always, to the channel. It means the world to me for hitting such a big milestone. Now, without further ado, let's begin, and let me go and discuss everything that's been happening recently in Dead by Daylight. Now, to kick things off, let's talk about first is the recent update for The Walking Dead. Now, I will say this, though. It's been 9 years of DBD with tons of content, updates, all that stuff right there. And even though the game isn't perfect, there is a lot of issues with the game here and there, I will still say, though, that nevertheless, the game can still be quite fun, enjoyable, no matter what you think on either side of the survivor or the killer or anything like that. The game can still find its way to be pretty enjoyable and pretty fun. But there has been time and time many issues that has been happening lately with the game, and the devs have a lot on their hands that they need to really work on. And the Walking Dead update is no exception to that, because after its launch, it has left quite a lot of mixed feelings on it. Now, I'm not a big Walking Dead fan. I am not crazy into Walking Dead, never really gotten into it, but I will say, though, The Walking Dead is one of the most popular franchises of any horror-related series released by AMC and just on TV in general, that has really spawned a very big community of many fans who enjoy its story. So someone like this getting to Dead by Daylight is a big treat for a lot of fans out there. However, though, it has left to quite a lot of mixed reactions since its PTB up until its release and beyond right now, and it has left quite a lot of mixed feelings about the stuff right there. For this chapter, they release Rick Grimes and Michonne Grimes. Both will be the new survivors, along with their own perks, their own fair share of skins, all that stuff. I won't go through it all because I'm not going to really talk about too much of the stuff, but I like to talk about more specifically how this update has released and has left quite a few problems. And I'm not going to go through every single one, but I'm going to go through maybe at least 3 of them that I have in particular that have, bugged me, and I think a lot of people could be bugged by the most, so allow me to go through that real quick. First, I want to discuss about is the clown. So what the update did with the clown was they heavily focused on trying to buff the Afterpiece antidote to make it strong and weaken the heck out of the Afterpiece tonic. In the update they did before, at launch, they basically increased the antidote's ability of its haste from 10 to 12%, increased the spread of the clouds from it. They decreased the Afterpiece tonic's gas clouds by now 1 second instead of being 2 seconds. They decreased the hindrance effect from 15 to 12%. They decreased the hinder effect that linger on in the cloud from 2 to 1 second. Increased the movement speed while reloading any bottles from 1.61 to 2.3 meters a second, so now you move much quickly when you do it, and decrease the time it takes to reload from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Because of the heavily focus on haste, it makes it very broken a lot, because now people can combine this with related haste perks and the add-ons like that, and it basically got a chance to basically be much quickly than ever, and they could just heavily use more of the Afterbeast antidotes than the Afterbeast tonics. Like, I remember testing out a couple of haste perks with this, and I found this quite pretty broken as hell. I was just zooming around a lot, and it was just very annoying in my opinion, though. Like, it was pretty funny, but it was also pretty annoying in my head, because, like, it just made things very easy. And, like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind speeding around with haste a lot. It can be pretty fun, but sometimes, but you shouldn't have to be so zoom constantly so easy. It just becomes boring eventually over time. So after this, I hope for the best that they'll at least adjust a bit more to kind of give Afterbeast tonics still back a good reason to still be good as well, but also kind of find a way to balance it out to make Afterbeast Endo not heavily be buffed up with so much haste I can give to, but it could be enough to still benefit you at least, that you can balance out as heavily as possible. I mean, honestly, with how haste can be a lot, and since you can stack the stuff, it's no wonder why I think a lot of people, including myself, can kind of agree. I think wish we couldn't stack haste, honestly, because, like, the haste is just really annoying and pretty tedious to deal with, and it could do a lot of problems, a lot for many players, constantly going against a clown a lot. I think it could be pretty annoying, and it's something I really think the devs really need to work on, obviously. Another thing that also kind of pops into mind when discussing also this update was the fog vials. The fog vials, as you know, is one of the newer items for the Survivor, which it's been a very long while since there's been actually any new items at all. I mean, there really actually hasn't really been a new item to get from the Blood Web or anything like that for the 9 years the game has been released. The fog vials is one of the newest items ever. There has been some certain items you can get from perks, or even some limited time items, but this is like the first proper new item you finally can earn when opening chests, or obviously whenever you happen to just roll the Blood Web and earn it from there as well. The Fog Vial, as you know, basically is a special item that kind of works like similar to the Fog Crystal or the Void Crystal during the limited time events during like the Haunted by Deadlight and the 2v8 mode. You can then release out a big mist of fog and just kind of just let it all out. At the time, though, like, a lot of people were pretty interested about this a little bit, but once it got to the PTB, people started questioning about it and started discussing some weird, tough issues. First of all, the add-ons have mostly been a variety of basically use of giving extra more time, basically, or quicker time to kind of reach its maximum size of the cloud, make it last a bit longer, and even also the visceral one, which is the potent extract. It originally just simply did was decrease the visibility and sounds within the fog cloud. So basically, it would make it a lot harder for the killer to hear and see out of, which I would say that did cause quite a lot of, you know, disorientation and discomfort a little bit right there because of the struggle it brought into. Although, obviously, when I tested it out, in my opinion, I did not have too much issue with it, honestly. I think it wasn't a terrible thing. I think I had no problem trying to get around with it, but it was definitely some moments where it definitely did hinder it a bit. And now in the later update, once it got released, they changed it now to where now it just increases the opacity of the fog by just over 5%. So instead of 33%, it would be about 38%. So now it's a little bit that right there, and then the duration has been reduced though by 50%, so it made it a little bit tricky. And they also reduced the size of the cloud by 25% as well. So they made it kind of have one pro and some cons a bit right there. And originally the fog vial also was unlimited. Now it's been reduced to just simply 2 charges. So even though you can use it back to back again, it basically just kind of just makes it where now you only have a limited 2 charges, which I think is kind of fair though, because unlimited was kind of pretty broken. But then again, though, 2 charges is quite a very nasty reduction, fair enough, but still very big. That just kind of makes it weak. So there was a lot of big deals a big deal that was going around with this fog vial when it was announced. And even though I had no issue with it a little bit, in my opinion, though, I can agree it was kind of busted. It's many of these changes like these that kind of, like, you know, obviously help out quite a bit to kind of balance it out a little bit. But although I think it did get kind of nerfed down heavily now to where it's not as busted now, but also feels kind of a little bit going to be kind of useless a bit, because if you think about it, if you only have 2 charges, it does kind of just get a little bit situation right there. Though I think it's understandable why it is, due to the fact that you can also use certain perks in mine, especially with the fact that Built to Last, for example, a perk that lets you recharge it if it's been used, can also be used to recharge it back, I believe. So there is some situations where that can be quite used a lot, very much. And along with also just like the new updated maps and keys, that can also be some of that can also be kind of worked on a little bit too as well. So obviously they've been reworked, and now they have like charges instead of just being just a simple thing you use, and it just wastes this amount of the meter charge right there. So you have to kind of balance it out a bit. So same thing now here, where you're just gonna kind of figure out a way how to handle how much use you do out of it, figure out good timing, figure if it's a good time to use it or something like that. So I mean, like, the fog file, I can agree, is a very situational item. I don't think it's a problem completely to the full extent, but I think it is something that had to be addressed. Though I think it's being addressed now. It has led to it now basically be kind of heavily nerfed now, because I now don't think the fog file itself is really busted anymore now completely. I wish they could have just simply maybe like up the charges a bit more on that. Instead of just being unlimited, they could have put it like maybe like at 4 charges, and then just maybe buff the cooldown times for all the different tiers. So maybe like for the common one, instead of being 70 seconds, it could be like around like 90 seconds. And then basically for the uncommon one, it would follow by 85 seconds and then 80 seconds for the rare one. I think that would be kind of fair, at least. Give it a little more longer cooldown so it can't just be heavily used, but there will be enough charges to be used so that you can be able to just kind of, you know, use them, of course, anytime still as much as possible, but then you can still be very careful with it pretty much. And I think a long cooldown would help that. At least that's in my opinion, though. Now, one of the bigger things that has to be discussed, of course, is also recently with all the different updates and changes, they've also reworked a couple things and updated, you know, the typical perks and the killer stuff like I mentioned earlier. But there is some perks that quite changed up a white bit. Some that are pretty nice, I guess. Some that are okay. Some that are not too great. But the one I want to discuss the most that has become a pretty big topic right now is the more recent rework of one of the perks, Streetwise. If you know what Streetwise originally did, whenever you, of course, at all happen to have this perk equipped, you would be able to increase the charges of your item you're carrying by about 25%, if I remember. And anyone who's within your 8-meter range of you will actually get this benefit too as well for the items, and it will linger on for 15 seconds after leaving the range. Basically, it would allow you to increase the charges and improve its efficiency while using the item. So if you use a toolbox, it will be 25% more use out of it rather than just simply the normal charges you would use. And this would be very good to use with other certain add-ons that can help out a bit, or anything else that can benefit you, like if you use certain items to help you out with toolboxes to get gens done, or with flashlights to help you out with flashlight stays or whatever. It would basically help out quite a lot, and it would do a lot for sure. And it was a really good item to perk to use for items. It was pretty nice. But the recent update basically reworked it. And even though it was very questionable at first, I didn't mind at first until people discovered a exploit, which I will mention just a moment. But the update, what it did was increase now the charges when any items are retrieved from a chest to about 80%. And whenever you finish the item, let you see the aura of the killer for 8 seconds. I didn't mind this at first, though. I did feel like it was kind of, in my opinion, though. But honestly, at the time, at first, I didn't really find any big deal. I think it was all right. I think it was not bad, because then you could just get like certain items you want the most out of chests and combine this and just get certain stuff out of it. Even though now the benefit will be now is that you have to now get an item from a chest to get the charges, not just have an item anytime. So that means any items held already equipped, you cannot benefit from that. Until recently an exploit place. I'm not going to really even just show the exploit, honestly, because one, it's already been shown online. You could easily just go find it. And honestly, I just don't want to encourage as much. But basically, this exploit, what you do with it, would allow you to basically constantly still not only use the perk activation of its charge, but you can just keep on getting it for any of the items you have whatsoever from the whatever you earn within the chest and stuff like that. And this basically would allow you to just constantly stack it up, making items like your flashlight or your toolbox barely will ever go down whatsoever, and you would have a lot of charges. Because of this, people were pretty pissed off by this, and fairly so, for the fact that something like this got really right past by behavior, and people just were questioning that why hasn't devs kill switched this perk yet? Why haven't this happened? Like, they have not at all like kill switched it. It's just why? Why is this not warrant for a kill switch? Like, it literally is buggy. There's an exploit that literally people can do to gain as many charges they can with this perk. It has gone from now basically a pretty solid perk for just items you carry to now one of the most busted perks imaginable because of this. And it does, I feel like, and will hurt the game even further if they just let this go by. If they let this progress further as it launched, because now people can find ways to just exploit this like hell. And it's just, why? For example, Last Stand, which is one of the new perks from Michonne, and somehow that perk gets kill switch because of some recent stuff that's been going with that perk apparently that was impacting like vault speeds and stuff like that. But yet Streetwise, which has a bug thing, was not warranted of it, was very questionable. I'm very disappointed with how this update's been handled, and I think there could have been a lot better to be handled with it. And I know they will work on it, and there is some that is going to be mentioned that shows some good sign of it, but we'll get to after we deal with the big elephant in the room that is the stream incident that happened. All right, so if you don't know what the stream incident I'm talking about is, basically on, I believe, August 11th, from memory, August 11th, basically there was a big stream that was announced that would feature some of the 4 different creators: Otstarva, Mish, G-Burb, and Ghost Arcade, along with also Chandler Riggs, who was a special guest as who played Carlo Grimes, who would be featured for the special event that was going on to celebrate the Walking Dead chapter. People were very excited to see this and were really up for it and ready to go for it. But things turned south after an incident that happened during the stream where basically when they were doing a custom games, they were flooded with a lot of people getting into the custom games via the spectator mode and were basically able to sabotage and mess with the game. And obviously when it was brought to attention, they had to reset the games a couple times and they couldn't stop it. The only thing that would matter was that many of the creators, including Ots, try to state that they need to get people in to fill in the spots for the Spectre mode, which is nothing new because many people in esports and other related stuff have done those before, where if they do custom games, they tend to usually try to fill the spectators so that at least they're completely filled up and no one can just get in the game so easily. But DBD's staff behavior literally just chose to refuse it. They just didn't want to do it, and they denied that completely, and it felt like they were just disregarding Chandler Riggs, who was trying to refer the Ots message to the devs, and Ots himself, and it was showing a sign of disappointment that they were willing to throw out Ots under the rug like that just because they just didn't want to listen, and they completely just messed everything up, and eventually the stream just got shut down, and that was about it. Because of this, people were very pissed off, rightfully so, by behavior and how they handled the stream, and the fact that they have been vocal about, you know, trying to make sure that these DDoSers, these cheaters, hackers would never flood their game like this again and mess with stuff like that. And the fact they chose to ignore one of their biggest creators of the game like this to let them know to fill up those spots in spectator mode was utterly disappointing and disgusting for that reason. And people were waiting to hear like a response to this and how they would, you know, make up for the situation. And you know what they did on that day of first post? They literally on that day just posted their Walking Dead skin collection, which features, you know, the legendary skin Daryl Dixon and all their other skins. The fact that they chose to just post that instead of like apologizing at first and about what happened in the stream and how they handled the situation was pretty irritating, and a lot of people were very, very pissed off by how this was handling right there, and people were not having any more and were really on it. Eventually, though, the next day on the 12th, they did mention this post right here where they said this: yesterday's live stream with Chandler Riggs and our creators didn't go as planned, and we want to sincerely apologize for how things unfolded. As most of you are now aware, we couldn't complete a match because the dedicated server players were on was the largest of an attack. This put our content creators in an incredibly difficult position trying to troubleshoot and adapt in real time while live. We know our creators have experienced similar issues, and they show remarkable patience and resourcefulness, offering suggestions to help get things back on track. While our security team was on hand during the incident, we didn't properly assess the situation and didn't act on potential mitigation plans, and this is a failure on our part. We want to be clear, our creators and our community are the core of what we do. The last thing we ever want is for them to feel ignored or left out of the loop. We didn't communicate well enough yesterday, and we're taking a hard look at how we can do better moving forward. We also want to take the time to apologize to all of you, our DBD players. What was meant to be a fun moment bringing our community together turned out to be the opposite. After talking to creators, we were taking their feedback to improve how we run these streams in the future. Lastly, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Chandler Riggs, G-Burb, Ghost Arcade, Mish, and Ostarva for their time and support yesterday. Having Chandler and Rick Grimes for DBD at our office was still an amazing moment that we're really proud to have seen happen, and the continuous passion shown by content creators and community is not something we take for granted. While I do appreciate they at least apologize for the stuff and they are owning up to stuff, there needs to be more about this, way more. Behavior, you should know better. What you were doing was pretty selfish and ignorant to your creators and to the entire DBD community. No matter what you say, action needs to be happening for sure, and action is very much need to happen. The fact that you guys ignored Odds and Chandler Riggs' message about the situation and all the creators involved with this, and even the community who was telling about this situation, the fact that you chose to ignore this so heavily and didn't handle this well, the fact all you had to do was just fill the spectator mode with people. Just get your staff to go in there and just join for that to make it easier. Simple as that. Instead of literally doing that, you chose to ignore that and let it be sabotaged by a bunch of DDoSers. Might add that you've been heavily focused on that before, and now all of a sudden they're just flooding like this, like hell, back again, and you still couldn't do anything about it. Only shows exactly how really foolish this looks and very disrespectful you are to your community. I do appreciate it, at least, and many of us do. There has to be more than just a bunch of words. And a lot of people can agree that it's nice to know that you at least say it, but it would be good to also know what steps you will take to resolve this, or how the fact that words will not really matter and you need to take action on this. And I know there's something that has been mentioned earlier that I will get into in just a moment, but I'm just saying this from this point of view that Behavior did so wrong with this. They did terrible, they did awful, they just did not handle the situation very well. They basically screwed this stream just because they didn't listen to their community or their content creators, the people they trust to represent their game. And I really think that much more than just simply a mere amount of words has to be stated literally to help fix this game. And honestly, I think a lot of people can agree there is much more that needs to be done. And it's disappointing about this. It really is. The fact that this has gone south just because the devs literally did this is a good example of what not to do as a developing team. What not to do literally with your community. And it will only get worse from here on out if you continue down this path, which is why you really need to listen heavily about this stuff. And hopefully with all the outcry and the backlash that's going on right now at the moment, I think we hopefully might just have someone for the future course that will lead down that path. And that's what I'm going to get into right now real quick. But Behavior, please, you got to do better. You really got to do better. Now, after all the things that have been going on right there, on August 14th, they did have made one video and announcement that they discussed big changes and plans they have for the future DBD and how they really will focus on to the response that has happened in their recent communications. And they addressed it in a video, but basically in this little picture you'll see right here on screen right here, their plans of some upcoming quality and life changes. This is basically what they have planned, which is somewhat good news, but I will mention my thoughts on the situation right here too as well. But first of all is that they mentioned they are heavily focusing a lot on trying to make sure the health of the game is the big focus and pushing away content for later as possible when they can. So during this time right here, from phase 1 from August to the September, they will be focusing on adding another bug fix patch, a third one. They have also postponed the PTB for the next chapter for early September, and focusing on introducing fixes for any issues in the recent July mid-chapter, like I mentioned, and some extra polish time on the upcoming original chapter, of course. In phase 2, from October to January of next year, they will postpone the November chapter content to now January, focused on more November releases and on bugs fixing and the winter event they got planned, as well as fixing priority impacts on killer issues. Also planned updates for the Shape, aka Michael Myers, which is nice, and future updates to the whole Sluggling Tunneling Camp thing, which is pretty situational on its own right there. I don't know how that's going to be handled since that's been a mix lately on how they're going to do it, but we'll see how that goes. And then phase 3, which is for February and onwards, they mentioned quality of life focused March release and a focus on fixing more high priority issues on gameplay related stuff and adjustment to any related stuff such as the MMR rework, prestige awards they still got planned, and perk preview and matches. While it is a good, nice event right there that they mentioned, and like, you know, kind of focus on stuff like this, it is becoming a problem right there because, first of all, one is that these are just words. These are just simply words. They do not mean anything at all, because even if they are saying it, doesn't mean that it will go out the way they say it is. Unless they actually show they will do it and prove that as such, these mean nothing in my opinion, and I think a lot of people can agree with that. Secondly, also, is that a couple of the stuff right here just feel kind of just, in my opinion, though, honestly, too. Because first of all, they just mentioned bug fixes, polishing up the game, and then just pushing the content back a little more to work on the related issues. And the only other big ones we've already seen that we know about is like the gameplay up to 2 Myers and other issues working with the killers and gameplay and even the MMR rework and prestige awards and stuff like that, and the perk preview and matches. But the fact that legit these are like the only issues being talked, and the fact that nothing mentions here about specifically, for example, after the recent DDoS attack, the any issues with like, you know, cheaters and hackers and DDoS or stuff like that, they never mention it whatsoever. Also, it is going to be kind of like interesting to see how they handle this, especially for, you know, like some of the other related stuff after everything we've seen so far. For example, the slugging, tunneling, camping update they're planning right there. I mean, we've seen how they've been handling with camping a lot and how that's been, or the tunneling, slugging situation, which we're still waiting to see and how that's being handled. And even then, it's become more problematic where it's become less about trying to really lower the risk of that as such, and more the fact that it's kind of making it harder for killer players and stuff, which I actually kind of agree that I think some killer games have been kind of mixed in quite a lot against Survivor. I think Survivor has been getting a lot of, you know, treatment better compared to killer games. I won't sit here and say it is like a, like, you know, killer side and Survivor side of the situation. I just don't fall like that. But based on my time playing with killer compared to Survivor, I do think that even though I can still get my games in very well with killer, no matter what, even with the ones I am good at, like Springtrap and Ghostface, stuff like that, I do feel it might be a little bit less fun. A little bit less fun in my opinion, though, because it's becoming a little bit hard to maintain some of the stuff, since I do struggle a little bit trying to keep up with Survivors now because of these recent things I've been adjusting to help make it easier for Survivors a bit more against killers, especially when it comes to the idea of slugging and tunneling. Even though I don't camp really at all or slug a lot crazy, or I don't tunnel too often, unless, of course, obviously if the game gets close to, you know, wrapping up and I still have to get a kill at least. So that's usually my time when I usually run for that, for the tunneling part. But like, even with the adjustments how it is, it's become a little more situation right there that make it very difficult for a lot of that stuff right there. I just think that there's just not enough to be discussed at all about this stuff. Like, sure, it's still nice that they're pushing back the content to focus on the health of the game. It's nice that they at least have some things about, and despite my concern about certain things like the slugging, tunneling, camping update, or how the MMR rework will be like, I'm still grateful at least that they are announcing it. That's good news, at least. That's good that we are getting some important details about this. So that's great news to hear. But there needs to be more. There needs to be more to announce. And like I said, these are just words to me. They don't matter to me at all until actually some things get out, like come out and be shown and be tested, and we know for sure this goes well. Otherwise, it's all just pretty much a big PR stunt, in my opinion, though, about this, because that's all I feel about this stuff. It just feels like this is just them just talking, and just trying to get people hold back for a bit until at least something happens. It just feels like to me that nothing is really going to really kick in very well at all, like whatsoever, about this unless they actually announce it. And I feel like they need to show it more, and the fact that it doesn't even have that in there just feels kind of just confusing to me. It just feels, okay, it's nice, but it doesn't give me some relief yet, because I feel like in the end, if this progresses further like this and nothing gets improved at all, and all we have to rely on is just a bunch of words from these people, it will not really help out whatsoever, and people will be pushed back from the game. So I only hope that in due time, they will start releasing these patches. They will allow us to test it, to give our thoughts on the situation, and they will give out more details as possible and explain it with everyone as soon as possible, because otherwise, if this progresses further like this, we're only risking the future of the game's future even further, and people are going to be pushed back from the game. I know a lot of people still are playing this game. I know a lot of people are still trying to enjoy this game, but honestly, even everyone can agree that we're all getting tucker and tired about this stuff, and it's just becoming really, just very tiring to deal with this. Now, with that, I want to come to my end about saying my final thoughts on the situation. I am pretty disappointed how DBD's been going. I know I've been in and out of the game a lot with content, stuff like that. I am very dedicated to the game, and I love the game so much, but the fact that this has gone on for so long with many issues, even when I joined in pretty late for the game, it hurts me very much, and it's pushed me away a lot. It's a game I've been heavily focused and dedicated to, and the fact that so many people love this game who've been on here since the very beginning, and this is where the game is going to, it just shows how much people love this game and how much they care about it, but they want Behavior to listen. And it's not like they don't listen. I bet they do. But the fact that they've shown time and time again about making these mistakes constantly, it is making it harder and harder and harder to really believe that they are listening. The fact that that stream incident happening and not listening to Utz and Chandler and all these guys right here, and how they have handled it with just a PR move of just apologizing, stuff like that with words, and then making their plans, which is nice, but still, it's just words. People are not pleased by it. People are not happy by it. And for me, I'm not happy by it. Which is why I've been pushed away from the game yet again. Which is why I have not made any videos yet until now. This is why I haven't done anything yet at all whatsoever on the game at all anymore right now. And I've been pushing myself to play other games. Until things get better, I don't think I'll be back on anytime soon for a bit right now until it does. But I want to say this real quick for everyone. What can you do in this situation to help hopefully make the game better? How can we do this? Well, first of all, one thing I'll mention is immediately vote with your wallet. Stop spending money on the game. Don't buy any more chapters. Don't buy any more skins. Don't send any money literally at all to anything to do with Behavior and their properties, including DBD. It's better to vote with your wallet right now, because if the more money being lost to them happens, it will make it harder for them to literally continue the game, and they will have to realize that they need to act on it for the team, for the people, and all that stuff. Otherwise, the game will be risked completely. And the second point, try not to dedicate too much time to the game either. I say this is kind of hard to say, but it really isn't that difficult. Just stop playing the game for a bit. Take a break from it. Go play different games. Just don't give it your time of day, and just try to play something different for a little bit. If you do this, I believe this will really send a message, because if they get less numbers than they already have previously, then they'll realize they'll need to take on this swiftly and willing to take action on it, because from a business standpoint, it's going to hurt them very well if they don't get the money and they don't get the numbers that are playing the games. So if this happens, it will go for sure completely. And the last final part, the more easiest one I can say at least the most, is speak your mind about the situation. If you're a content creator or streamer, speak out about this. Talk on stream about this. Make a video about this. Speak out your mind and let the devs know how you feel about it. Let Behavior know, the staff know, everyone know that you are disappointed in this situation there, that they need to act. They need to do better. They need to listen. And it's time for them to not act on with words. They need to act on by literally doing stuff. Because everything they're saying right now is nice, but it's flawed, because it can't be just by words. It needs to be by literal action, by literal feelings, by literal actual stuff that needs to happen. And that's why it needs to happen. It needs to go on right now to be motivation to get them to act on this, to hear the community out, to hear everything. If they do this, I have a feeling we could hopefully see a better future for Behavior, for DBD. And hopefully before the year 10 rolls in, maybe we'll see everything be cleaned up more, that things will be more smooth. And even before eventually the next release of content, even further for year 10 and what they'll do after we're done with all of year 9, if we even get through it. But I just feel like with all these points in mind, this is something that we need to act on, is that we need to do this, that we have to see this happen for sure. Because if we don't, they'll just keep repeating the same mistake. And they will. And if we keep paying money to buy their skins and their chapters, if we keep playing their game and dedicating hours to it without really thinking about it, like maybe we're just simply giving them more attention and they'll just not care because we're still playing their game. They don't care. But if we show it that we do by not playing the game, then they will understand that we care, and they have to. They have to care themselves. And speaking your mind out about that stuff, it will really help out quite a bit. It will really help out quite a lot. The voice being heard will do stuff and will act upon it. And that's why I hope for the best that with everything that's been spoken out about this situation, maybe, just maybe, a future may be held for the future of DBD that will be in light of hopefully some better balancement, hopefully. Not perfect, but some better balancement to help make both sides feel more fair in gameplay, that more content can come out more smoothly, that the updates will be better focused on keeping the game overall healthy and alive, and that the devs and the staff of Behavior will listen heavily and will make things a much better place within the fog for the trials and for every single survivor and killer out there who play the game. Anyway, with that being said, that is going to be what I have to say right now. I hope my video is a little helpful to the situation. I may not be a big DBD veteran compared to others. I know I've been out of the game, but I feel like I have enough to understand and know about the situation that I can at least speak out my mind on the situation. And I do hope a lot of everyone can agree with about what's going on and can hear us out about why a lot of people are just genuinely upset about how Behavior's been handling the situation lately since the year 2025 rolling in. Because after the FNAF chapter, it's clear that a lot of people are now still upset about so many situations that are still owed to deal with. And even despite how successful a chapter like Five Nights at Freddy's was, and even how big of a chapter The Walking Dead is, people need to see the game in a healthier state in order to make it fun, even despite a big license like those two can be. And hopefully my video will be, like many others, very helpful to the situation, I hope. And if not, well, at least I do my best I can to kind of show my passion for the game, at least, because I want to get back to this game more. I want to make more content for the game. I want to make more perk videos. I want to make more content drop videos, which I was planning to do for The Walking Dead, but didn't because of everything that was going on. I want to be able to discuss some stuff right there. Maybe do some cool concept ideas videos I've seen people do, and I want to do for myself, like tier mate lists and stuff like that, or discuss where I think who is, like, tough or threatening, or how they get, or talk some lore and stuff like that. Just all that kind of fun stuff people can do for content. It'll be fun, but I can't do it with this game in its state, and I hope for the best. The game can get better. I really do hope so. But anyway, we'll see what happens, of course, and I hope he ever listens to this video and to everyone else's videos and other related, like, important voices being heard, that maybe, just maybe, a future may be held down the line that will hopefully mean that we could see DBD in a much better state that will be enjoyable. So we'll see what happens, of course. But thank you all for joining, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it very helpful. And I thank you all for an amazing time, as always, and appreciate all for your love and support. And again, thank you all for, 100 subscribers here on YouTube. I appreciate it again, of course. Thank you so much, guys. But thank you so much for watching again. I'm your host, Game Pizza Boy, host of the Pizza Party, and I'll see you guys next time here. Keep on partying, my friends. Peace.